Flat cap pastor dashing through pages. Chronicles, Gospels, prophets, sages. Leviticus, laws to pause, find phrases. Turning them corners, no spiritual mazes. Genesis to Revelation, so divine. Flip them scripts, endless grace you'll find. Songs singing sweet, unbroken lines. Hitting that rhythm, wordplay refined. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? Wake up early, the dawn's light shimmers. Spiritual breakfast, soul food dinners. Isaiah's vision, Ezekiel's figures. Walk through the fire, no one limbers. Kings and judges, prophets profound. Plowing the word, no mythical ground. Verse after verse, wisdom's bound. Heavenly soundtrack, soul serving sound. Anybody in here blessed? Anybody in here blessed? Bible in 1 year, we don't rest. Anybody in here blessed? No shortcuts, all divine routes. Listen to the whispers, no room for doubt. Parables drop stronger than gold faucets. Souls hydrated from divine prophets. Study the book, change perspectives. Carefully crafted, not too subjective. A year to reflect, learning perfect. Patterns of grace that time can't deflect. Old Testament drops deep and so real. Kings and warriors, covenant seals. Split that Red Sea, divine reveal. Commandments written, not made of steel. Bethlehem birth to cross on the hill. Unfolding the never blessings, pastor with skill. Scripture flip, every verse fulfilled.
Through the word, every verse, every chapter, nothing unheard. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Yo, online sermons, holy vibes delivered. Spreading light, got the sinners reconsidered. Psalm to psalm, man's like a holy DJ. Flipping through scripture, repping the Yahweh. Your emotes in the chat, praising the message. Flat cap on point, teaching eternal lessons. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with a slick rhyme trick. Virtual congregation, united in devotion. 1 year strong, a spiritual promotion. He's a life coach with divine instructions. Streaming holiness, no room for interruption. Flat cap changed the game, new pastoral fame. Virtual shepherd, he's embracing the mainframe. In the comments, affirmatives and amens. With each Goliath tackled, faith extends. Everybody in here blessed, I'm blessed, I'm blessed. 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 Digital pulpit, preaching like a pro. Followers grow as the faith overflow. Keyboard clicks, holy words they stick. Raining blessings down with...
Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in Glad to have you here today. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Say the sound is a-okay. Sound is good there. I'm trying something new. So you can see, like, I'm a little bit front lit here, and I've left the other lights out. I feel like I stand out from the background, which I think is kind of fun. So you'll have to let me know whether you like that, you don't like that, your thoughts on it, my good people. Just thinking of things that should be on my to-do list, and yeah. Emotes would be a good one to put on my list, but I don't know if it's going to happen this week, and then I'll be gone next week. So, there's always so much time in the day that gets wasted, and I mean, it's true, but actually more often it feels like there are things that get undone or not done and left undone and never have enough time to get to. Ooh. Okay, that's going to be a not apply to me thing. Sorry, just checking a couple of notes here, emails before we get into things too deeply, just to make sure what my schedule is. What is that? Okay, I believe I have a 1 o'clock. Yeah, there it is. Okay. That's what we got. Got that. So, we'll see what happens today. I like the glow of the tank this way, with it being lit there, and then the rest being dark. I mean, maybe this would be a little bit nicer if it had more light on it, but we'll have to see. Mel, how we doing, friend? Hope you are doing well. Hope you're doing well. We had a good discussion last night on mental health. I'll get the recording up later. Also, I did add you to be able to have ownership or host control of the meetings, so that hopefully next week it should auto record when I'm not there on Monday, and then hopefully you'll have access so that it can get posted if you're able to do that. And if it doesn't work out, I can always post it later. Not a big deal. People have conflicts, and if it doesn't get out right away, I'll post it when I get back. And I did give Aki access to the drive with the questions, so hopefully he remembers to post the questions. If not, you know what? I should just give you access as well, Mel. So anyway, how cold are you supposed to be today? I was just watching, and my goodness, there is a blizzard warning for Beaumont, Texas, which is on the Gulf Coast. I mean, that's bizarre that the Gulf Coast is having a blizzard warning.
Ukulele Forest just rated with 24 viewers.
-7 right now, Mel. Woo, that doesn't sound fun at all. Welcome in, Raiders. I'm watching you people. Welcome in, friend. Donnie Dreams. Good to have you here, friend. Good to have you here as always. Hope you're doing well. Electropod. Good to have you here. Arolari Art? Do I have that right? Arolari? Arole? Help me out. Pika, good to see you. Violet Wind, good to see you. Ukulele, thank you for, oh wow. The 3-year streak, Ukulele. The 3-year streak with the sub. Appreciate it, friend. Ara is good. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Ara. Or Era. I can never pronounce my vowels the way people think they should be. I have weird pronunciations. I know. You missed the facial hair. Glad I got the clips. Out right there, that was Wywis, who just came sneaking in Error. Okay, thank you. So that was Wywis, the albino plecostomus, who likes to knock everything over in the tank. So, so welcome in. Oh, well, happy wife, happy life. Yes, yes, yes. Exactly. I do have a few fish, as you can see. I do have a few hats, as you can also see. I have been a pastor working in churches for 20 plus years, 25 years. Who knows? You lose count. You don't care. You just care about people. I'm not currently working in a physical church, but I am working online, and I am working on this year helping to teach a cohort on equipping digital missionaries. DM me if you'd like more info. I'll probably be talking about that more in February, and going to be doing more things with the Church Digital, creating an outpost for digital missionaries to hang out and be able to get training, get encouragement, get support for one another. Mel, you have a friend who has property down in Texas right on the beach. Yeah, that's I remember when I lived, hey, the DC4C bot is working. Yay. I lived in Dallas, and we got snow every year. And one year at Christmas, Brownsville, which you really cannot get farther south in Texas than Brownsville. They got their first snowfall in 100 years, but that's different. There's a blizzard going to be going on in Beaumont today. I'm watching. You are working for the church, the body of Christ. Exactly. I'm just, letting people know a little bit about me. Thank you, Ukulele, for coming in with the raid. Appreciate you, friend. Appreciate 3 years of support. Donnie, good to see you too. You feel bad that you can't just keep subs going. Most of the time my budget is scraping by, while I rob Peter to pay off Paul. Yes. I had to cut those way back. Let me know if you can hear that music in the background or not, because I had it over on the fish stream. But for some reason, if I don't have it so that I can physically hear the music in the room, it keeps shutting off the music and not playing it, which I'm puzzled by. But I'm still trying to explore the best way to have music on that stream that's rotating and there. But hopefully, if I'm waiting to hear on a position with the church, if I get that position, I'll be able to go back to subbing willy-nilly and supporting whoever I please. Can't hear anything? Okay, thanks, Donnie. You've been in full-time ministry for decades. Yes, Eliezer, I have. For a couple of decades now. Oh, no. I don't want you to be able to hear it. That's the thing. It's like it's playing and there's a speaker just off to my right that is on the other computer. And so I don't want you to be able to hear it. It's not what I'm trying to play on the stream. It's over on the Fish channel. Ooh, look at Wywis doing a little donut there. So, hey, you know what? Let me give you a good close look up at Wywis. Oh, yes. I thought I had it. No, it's fish. It's fish, not koi. If you're trying to hype the other channel. But here, let's go with the fish. I'm sorry. Oh, that is the fish. I'm like, what? And I need to change the song on there. Now that I'm on this computer, it should be easier. That was one of the problems I was having, is getting it on the other setup. And then I just got OBS from the other computer transferred over here. You can see it looks like it might be a sunny day at my mom's house today. Overnight, there was a lot of snow, and we are until tomorrow under cold weather conditions that are pretty serious. So don't go outside if you don't have to, and don't stay outside, that's for sure. But you can see Wywis is hogging up the camera in the upper left there. All right. And I got it fixed on the color here. So hopefully that works well enough. If not, I can change the theme there a bit. I've got it on grayscale, essentially, I guess you call it. I think it's dusk is what it's called. We're going to be in Genesis today, so let me change that. We are, those who are new here, we read in the Bible. And last year we read through the Bible in a year. I like doing that every other year. I don't like doing that every year because I don't want it to just feel like it's the chore and you have to check the box. I'm not a box checker. So we're doing Messiah Monday, which means we read in the Gospels on Monday. We're reading about Jesus on Monday. So we got through Matthew 4 yesterday. Torah Tuesday, that's the first 5 books of the Old Testament: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Wisdom Wednesday, so you can go and recommend a psalm, a proverb, a Song of Solomon, Ecclesiastes passage that you enjoy. We'll read the whole chapter. We won't just read a verse that you like. We'll read the whole thing. You can tell us the verse, but we'll read the whole passage. Thursday, Transform Thursday. So reading about spiritual disciplines, looking into those. So we looked at prayer, and specifically the passages we ended up looking at were on intercession types of prayer, praying on behalf of others, interceding for them. And Friday favorites, I will give you a book that is books that are my favorite, and you can vote on whichever one we're going to read next. So we voted on Ruth. I've got a few others that we will get to at some point in no particular order: Jonah, Ephesians, Esther, and James. So, I'm watching. Last night was the first time I had to push the heat to nearly 85 degrees to maintain heat. Your apartment is drafty, but you're counting your blessings. Yeah, my wife and I were noticing underneath a couple of our doors, it's so cold and so windy, we are getting some condensation and or water under our doors, and wondering about if we need to do something about that with the cold. And I know I need to really probably replace all the weather stripping, and I did not do that. So you'll definitely be doing Wednesday streams all this week. Yeah, all this year. Wednesday streams are still going to be short. So I do have a 9 o'clock meeting. So Wednesday will just be an hour, which for wisdom, we should be able to do that. We should be able to do that. Just read one psalm, one proverb, or 2, because they're short. So the plan will be, yes, to do a Wednesday stream, and they'll just be a shorter one. What would I consider lamentation? Wisdom, poetry, or prophetic? I'm going to put it in the poetic wisdom. I mean, I'm going to cheat a little bit. It's not prophetic because it's lamenting. It is crying out about the condition of things that are already in place. Yeah, some of it still might be to come, but it's an already in process thing. Some would consider it wisdom. I mean, lament doesn't really fit some of the other things, and we do have laments in the Psalms. So, and then Psalms are poetic too. So, I don't know if that made any sense, Donnie, but that's where. Can we do the long one? 119. I put it in here. It's right here. If you can see, Psalm 119 is in there. I saw your post, so I have it in here. So we'll start with Psalm 23, and we probably won't be able to do Psalm 23 and 119 in the same week. That would be a really hard. 119 is long. It's tiny. Sorry. Yeah. Let me do something about that. Oops. I hate when I do the wrong thing. That's not what I wanted. Undo. There we go. That should be easier to read. That should be easier to read. Especially if you're on your phone. If you're on your phone, that's going to make that easier. If I squint, I can see it. Thank you. Oh, yeah. No worries. Here, I think if I play around with the text at all, or the size, I lose. Well, let me just check. sorry. I'm listening to some weird noises of the fish behind me, like gurgling. So I'm not sure what that was. Oh, there we go. A little bit bigger there. We could go all the way big. That's a little bit too big for me to read. I'm going to go here, and there we go. Okay. I was thinking poetic myself as well. Was just curious. Your thoughts. I heard Lamentation was commonly credited to Jeremiah. Yes. Yes, Lamentations is credited to Jeremiah. Jeremiah is the weeping prophet. Lamentation is a fantastic book from the standpoint of what it shows and helps us know that we can lament and cry out to God, and God can handle it. He can take it. We can express all that's going on. I'm just looking and going, is my chat not showing up today? I don't understand this issue, whatever it is that is causing that. That sometimes, well, it's this way. The chat shows up over there. Oh, no, it did show up. It did show up. Okay. It must have disappeared already. I have it on a timer so it disappears and doesn't stay there. And I thought it wasn't showing up today. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's go back. Let me see where we left off in Genesis. We didn't get very far. We got through verse 19. When last we saw our heroes. So I was saying that our plan is reading different pieces of the Bible on different days of the week. I find it a blessing to do it that way so that no matter where you are, you have something to look forward to in a day or two. And when you get bogged down in a section, you only have one day a week to be in that, oh, well, okay, I struggle here, and then I move on. But the other beautiful thing is you start seeing connections all around Scripture. When I'm reading Genesis and I'm reading the Gospels, I see connections together. When I see the Psalms and then I'm reading in other places, I see connections together. So that's one reason I like to split it up that way. I don't particularly like a lot of Bible plans that take 2 or 3 verses from one place and a half a chapter from another place and say, that's enough reading for the day. I don't get enough context when that's happening, and then I miss a lot. So, Johnny Darko, good morning. I pray everyone is staying warm. Yeah, I got my heater turned on today, that's for sure. I had to blow snow yesterday. I will probably have to blow snow again today, and I may or may not leave the house. Depending, I have a friend who we need to get together. Maybe I can talk him into just meeting online, but we're close enough we can meet together. And then we're cold until tomorrow, or I should say bitter cold until tomorrow. And I have a friend I have to pick up at the airport tomorrow who's flying in for a mutual friend's funeral. That is a funeral of his wife that's on Thursday. So this is the weird thing. Okay. My friend who is flying in and going to stay at my house, I have met in person a couple of times, but our mutual friend that lives like a half an hour away from me, I've never met in person. I've only talked with him online. I don't think I've ever met him in person. So that's kind of weird that the person that's flying in from out of state, I've met in person, but the person that lives a half an hour away, I've never met in person. So the first time I'm going to meet him is going to his wife's funeral. So, I don't know. Life is weird. Life is weird. I like living in the digital age. I mean, okay, I know we'll get into the Bible in a minute, but I love Westerns. I grew up watching Westerns. There's something about the struggle that people face and the overcoming adversity that I really, really like. And I haven't got to the Yellowstone show yet, but I'm watching the prequels to it, so to speak. So I've watched the 1923, and I'm watching the 1883 right now. Yeah, the good, the bad, and the ugly is a class. Oh, yes. Yes, I'm definitely in the genre of Eastwood, not in the genre of John Wayne westerns. Just to say, oh my goodness, you gave me the Russian tea cakes. Definitely one of my favorites. One of my favorites. Thank you for the cookies. And I got a grapefruit half. Yes, and this is white grapefruit, by the way. It's none of that pink stuff or ruby red. No, thank you. I didn't put it in there. You can imagine whichever kind you want to receive. So thank you. I got to have a grapefruit. Anyway, I am so excited that there are westerns that are out there being made. And not only that, the dialogue is genuine and honest, well-developed characters. I believe them. I love what they say. I get to the end of some things that they say, and I'm just sitting there in sheer joy. And they have really, really strong women characters in there. Not two-dimensional women characters that are trying to be heroes. No. These are well-developed women characters that you believe in them. You see their struggles. That's one of the problems that we're on a way tangent here. One of the problems that we see sometimes with we have to have a character that is of a certain ethnicity or a certain gender, and we're going to make them the hero. Like, I'll give you, I think, the clearest example of how you fail. So Hulk has struggles. Hulk has to battle with things. Hulk has demons. Hulk has to overcome. She-Hulk, all the power, no problems. Why do I care about her? Okay, great. She's got power. Whoop-de-doo. Good for her. What is the real struggle? She has no real struggle. She has nothing, no adversity to overcome. There is nothing that she's... So it's just, yeah, that's why it's not great. So you need to, regardless of gender, regardless of ethnicity, have a three-dimensional, developed character with flaws, with growing edges, with learning, with also consistency of character, with also things that look really out of character. How could that be with this person? So that they really are a genuine person. So, okay. Rant over, excitement about Westerns. We'll move on. I'll get done with chat, and then we'll jump into where we left off in Genesis. Donnie, I am currently in bed covered up. You don't have to work tonight. Oh, good. Good for you. But it's not been too bad. It's actually been surprisingly busy considering how cold it's been. You might actually get a few more. So, I did take, so, the commands, just like the cookies, I had to change the format of the quotations to it for what I'm on Streamlabs. It has to be, I don't know what you call it, a vertical line. It's not a letter, it's just a straight line in between the two things and a few other word changes, and then get rid of the dollar signs. So the commands work differently in Streamlabs than whatever you're using. I'm watching. What are you using for your commands? But I appreciate it, and I had fun. I had fun with it. So I added more things than you had, some extra fruit that I wanted, some more variety. But yeah, when Lucis gets here, you'll have to fruit it up. Okay. So in Genesis, we are talking about creation. We've spent some time looking at words. We've been talking about looking at things. One of the things that you will see is there are parallels between the days that happen. That what happens in day one, there become parallels in some way with day 7. In day 2, there are parallels to day 6. In day 3, there are parallels to day 5. And then day 4 sits in the center, unique and different than the other. One of the other things is that when we had day 4, where a lot of the surrounding nations of the people of God are worshiping the sun, moon, and stars, they don't even have names. They aren't even given names. They're so insignificant as to not have names. They are the lesser light and the greater light, and that's what there is. So I did watch recently a really cool physics person talking about I think I might have put it in the Discord. Let me go look a minute. If I put it in the Discord, I thought I had, or I had intended to. Let me go look under the Bible there. Where is it at? Oh, Bible questions. Is that what I put it under? Yes. Okay. I'm going to copy this and put it in the chat. You're getting out breakfast ingredients? No worries, friend. Okay. You love astronomy. I was one of your favorite classes in college. So this I believe he's a physicist. I'd have to remember. Well, he's a scientist. He's a scientist anyway. And he talks about the whole concept of how we could have the light created on day 1, but the sun, moon, and stars on day 3. He is the only person I've ever had that is ever given me an explanation that sounds viable and makes sense. I took there's no timer on it on fruit, and I took the timer off the cookies. If people abuse it, then I will put a timer on. But right now, I decided I don't need a timer. People aren't abusing it, so fruit and cookie away, my friend. So anyway, if you want to go watch that, he talks about this idea of there being so much veil, if you will, in the atmosphere that the veil gets thinned, and that is when the capacity to see the sun, moon, and stars begin to happen. And so anyway, it's a pretty cool video. I can't explain it. Yeah, mostly it's Ahmad's using it. I know. That's what Well, especially when also, you don't get to see what commands, are happening, showing up in the chat. You just get to see the result of it. You haven't heard from Glenn Beck in years. Yeah, and I'm not trying to promote Glenn Beck. I happen to have this video come up in my feed, and it's a pretty good, interesting thing that gave me a lot of curiosity and a lot of thoughts. Doesn't solve a lot of stuff, but it's like, ooh, this is a fantastic thought that I can wrestle with. Okay, so we are, there was evening and morning first day. If you haven't noticed this before, notice the evening always comes first. Morning comes afterwards. One of the beautiful things, if you spend time thinking about evening coming first, this is contrary to the way that we think in most modern society. We think work your butt off all day and then recuperate when you get tired. That's what sleep is for, is to recuperate from all of the hard work of the day. It's not how God created things. Evening comes first, so rest is the first thing that you do. And then out of a place of rest, you go forth to do work. It's a totally flipped. Yeah, the Jews count a day from night before, didn't they? Yes, they still do. They still count. So that's why when Jesus is on the cross and Passover is about to start, Jesus needs to be off the cross on Friday while it's daylight, because as soon as it's dark, it is Saturday. It is Saturday on Friday night as soon as it's dark. So dark is the beginning of the day, and light is the end of the day. And they get that from reading that evening came first and morning came afterwards. And we tend to have it flipped, where morning is the beginning of the day and evening is the end of the day. And I love the idea because it really, like I said, it flips it from I work until I'm exhausted and then I have to rest, instead of I rest and I get up refreshed, and now I am refreshed, or I should say I am fresh, and I go forth to do things from a place of rest, not having to rest afterwards. So you like the idea of day ending at nighttime. Yeah, I do too. I really do. I also think that plays into Sabbath as well. But we won't get into that much until we get there. So, all right. This I love that this translation does it, and it sticks with the Hebrew here. God said, "Let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." So, swarming things are going to swarm with swarms. So this whole construct of things that happen here is that things do the things that they do. So swarms, flying things fly, teeming things teem, fruitful things fruit. Okay? It just really sounds weird in English, but there's this whole beauty in the thing that is created does the thing it was created to do. If that makes sense. When you hear the same word for the noun of it and the verb of what it does. I don't know. I love that. So I would go in the awkward English above having a understandable. Yes, let the birds fly. I would have flying things fly, birding things bird. I would go with that. Okay. God created the great sea creatures and every living and moving thing with which the water swarmed according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." There was evening, there was morning, a fifth day. Got to heat up leftovers? BRB. All right. So, I love this aspect. So, when God so first we have light created. Light doesn't get blessed. We have water and dry ground separated, not blessing. We get vegetation created, not blessing. But now that we have a creature, God blesses them. While the translation blessed has been retained here for the sake of simplicity, it would be most helpful to paraphrase it as God endowed them with fruitfulness, or something similar. For here, it refers to God giving the animals the capacity to reproduce. The expression blessed needs clarification in the different context, for it is one of the unifying themes of the book of Genesis. The divine blessing occurs after the work of creation and is intended to continue that work. The word blessing guaranteed success. The word means to enrich, to endow. The most visible evidence of that enrich is productivity or fruitfulness. Blessing in the Bible and the life of the church. So let's see what the next footnote is. God gives creation a properly and fuller expression of the statement just made. God bless them, that he enriched them with the ability to reproduce. It is not saying that these were rational creatures, who heard and obeyed the word. Rather, it stresses the fruitfulness in the animals animal world is a result of the divine decree and not of some pagan cultic ritual for fruitfulness. The repeated emphasis on be fruitful and multiply, fill, adds the abundant God who has given life. The meaning is underscored with similar sounds. Berach with bara and para with vaha. Ooh. Okay. Donnie, always like this little anecdote that God created fish. He spoke to the sea. When God created plants, he spoke to the earth. When he created man, he spoke to himself. If you take a fish out of water, it will die. If you take a plant out of the earth, it will die. So it makes sense if you take a man, if a man is not connected with God, then he also spiritually died. Yeah, plants, not plays. Yeah, I gotcha. I've never heard that. I like that. You take a fish out of water where he was created and he dies, and you take a plant out of the earth. The one the one thing, however, is man was created out of the dust of the ground, and when we die, we return to it. I'm not sure where that fits in. Yeah, there are plants in the water, so yeah, that's true. Okay. So God speaks to the things to become the things are supposed to become, and God blesses them. He endows them. He, like we've looked up, bless before. There is the image of bending the knee is one of them, when and or worship when you are doing it to someone who is above you. But I like the idea of doing for someone what they cannot do themselves. Yeah, Johnny, technical. Yeah. Well, that's just it. When you use analogies, they always only go so far. Okay. God said, I also love this, like we overlook the power of the spokenness of things. I was thinking there are air plants? It depends on how you define air plants. There are, there's hydroponics, which is plants that are suspended in the air with just water and no soil. And we have plants that grow on plants that only grow in the trees tops. They don't ever grow on the ground. But I digress. God said, "Let the land produce living creatures." I love this. The land is the thing doing the producing living creatures. Just like you were saying, the land is the thing doing the producing of the creatures according to their kind. Cattle, creeping things, wild animals, each according to their kind. So if you're wanting to try and by the way, the Bible's not a scientific book. The Bible is not trying to explain anything in scientific terms because it was not written in scientific terms. It was written in theological terms. It is trying to explain to us who did these things and why he did these things. Okay? It's not trying to explain to us in a scientific manner the things that he did. But if you read this carefully, it is let the land produce living creatures. So, I mean, other than the idea that there was some, ooze and green algae, and then that's what ended up, creating animals and the like, the same substance of which animals are created. They die. They go back to the earth. I mean, if you want to go to Lion King analogy there, though the circle of life thing there, that is out of the ground that God tells animals to come. The ground is supposed to create out of them creeping things, wild animals, everything after its kind, and it was so. The three groups of land animals here, the cattle or livestock, mostly domesticated, things that creep or move close to the ground, such as reptiles or rodents, and wild things, all animals of the field. The three terms are generally classified without specific details. Yeah, so it says these categories, but it doesn't give specifics to how do you know which category something is in or not in. Things like that. They would classify differently than scientific classification. But everything according to its kind, which means there is order to things. One of the things that most other nations' myths have is chaos as part of the order of creation, and God, we already saw, stepped in. Two, there was chaos over the surface, over the surface of the water representing chaos. God is bringing order to things. He's not bringing things out of chaos. He has controlled the chaos. The chaos is put in its place. It can go no further. And then out of order, God is creating things. And all the creatures that creep along the ground according to their kind, God saw that it was good. Then, then God said, let us make humankind in our image after our likeness. So They may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the cattle and over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move on the earth. Okay, here's one of those things where, let's see what it says. The plural form of the verb has been the subject of much discussion through the years, and not surprisingly, several suggestions have been put forward. Many Christian theologians interpret it as an early hint of plurality within the Godhead, but this view imposes later Trinitarian concepts on an ancient text. Yes, we should not read it back into here. It would not have been a concept that Moses or anyone at that time would have had, which is when we suppose the earliest writings of these would have been, or the passing down of this knowledge. So we're imposing, well, that's also the same problem of imposing scientific ideas on pre-scientific people. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay. Some have suggested the plural verbs indicate majesty, but the plural majesty is not used with verbs. Ooh, I didn't know that. I have heard it as plural majesty, but it's not used with verbs. That's good to know. Argues the plural of deliberation here, but his proposed example is this. Do not actually support the theory. In David's use of plural as representative of all Israel, and in Isaiah, the Lord speaks on behalf of the heavenly court. In its ancient Israel context, the plural is most naturally understood as referring to God in the heavenly court. That's what I understand this to. It is the spiritual realm, the heavenly court, that God is talking to. The same way that we have in the book of Job, there is a heavenly court that is assembled, and God is talking in the heavenly court about things. The most well-known members of the court of God's messengers or angels, the serpent may refer to this group as God's divine beings. Note the word evil in 3:5. If this is the case, God invites the heavenly court to participate in the creation of humankind. Perhaps the role of offering praise, see Job 38:7. But he himself is the one who does the actual creative work. Of course, this view does assume that members of the heavenly court possess the divine image in some way. Since the image is closely associated with rulership, perhaps they share the divine image in that they, together with God and under his royal authority, are the executive authority over the world. Okay, that's an interesting thing. I had not noticed that could, when it says in our image. Okay. What would be the image of a spiritual being? The image of a spiritual being would be to have a spiritual nature to this. And it's not a commentary. It's just footnotes on the Net Bible, Johnny. It's just footnotes. It's not commentary. So they make footnotes, and then they reference different commentaries, or they reference the biblical sources. So, yeah, it's not a commentary. It's just footnotes on the grammar often, and the arguments for the grammar or the word usage. So it's mostly going to explain textual variants and grammatical things. So a lot of this is all grammatical argument. So it's not really commentary. But like here, this C. Westman would be a commentary, very likely, or a book that's describing or talking about things. Oops. Where was the other one he referenced there? Like here you've got its reference to Adam. I'm looking for another one where it mentions, yeah. Here we go. See D.A.J. Klein's The Etymology of the Hebrew Salem. So there we go. So we're referencing different works here, but they're just pointing you to different commentaries you could look up. This isn't actual commentary, it's just footnotes. Anyway, the image and our likeness could have to do with some capacity of being a spiritual being, would be what my thought is. Not automatically. Yeah, anyway, there's different theories on what that is. So, interesting. I always like to know the source that are doing the commentaries or reference in case I quote something I heard. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. And I don't always dive into the notes there. I often go just kind of glance at them to see if there's textual variants. But sometimes there's really long grammar things which are above my pay grade. Bootstraps, boots. Welcome in, buddy. Okay. So we're continuing with where God is going to do things, but also the image, so they may rule, might have something to do. Let me see what the footnote here says, actually. Okay, so see, like I was saying, the following, the cohortative, the let us make, so that is the verb tense, is cohortative. The prefix of the verb va, conjunctive, indicates purpose, result. So that's one of the things that God is, that the creation story is answering, is the purpose of creation, not how. It's answering the question who and why. So the purpose of things is being answered here, not necessarily the how of things. It's not a scientific book. God's purpose is giving humankind his image is that they might rule the created order on behalf of the heavenly king and his royal court. So the divine image, however it is defined, gives humans a capacity and or authority to rule over creation. Okay. God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them. Okay, so the animals have been blessed, and now people are being blessed. And said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and every creature that moves on the ground. Elsewhere in Hebrew, the verb translation subdue means enslave, to conquer. None of these nuances adequately meet the demands of this context, for humankind is not viewed as having an adversarial relationship with the world. The general meaning of the verb appears to be bring under one's control for one's advantage. One might paraphrase it as follows: harness its potential and use its resources for your benefits. I would just say, bring it under control. It would be enough to say there. How do we compare subdue with being good stewards? Oh, okay. You're back? Thanks. I hope this makes sense. But, it's saying for one's advantage, okay, to an extent, but the subduing has to do with bringing things under control, but being a good steward has to do with not exploiting something. So, if I am a steward of your money and I am responsible for carrying your money, I am investing your money, it's in whatever trust, and then you will have access to it at some point. I steward that on your behalf for your benefit and not my own. I'm not exploiting my privilege or my power in order for selfish gain. This word having to do with subduing, having authority over, I still think we should think of stewardship here, that God put us at. I like the image of, what is it called? When you are an ambassador to a foreign country. You are so if you're an ambassador for a foreign country, you speak for the government of the country you are from. So in that way, you have the rule and authority that comes with you, not the fullness of it of the ruler. And so long as you are acting on and with the authority and for the benefit of the one who sent you, you are being a good steward. When you switch to doing things for your own benefit, you're not being a good steward. So I hope that makes sense. And yes, I can do things that are beneficial to me. I don't like the word advantage there because it seems like I'm taking advantage of something and it's selfish. But if I am being a good steward over the land that I have, it means it is orderly. It means it's not wild. It means that it's under control and managed, and the things are beneficial in regards to that. So, yeah, good question. Love the question, Bootstraps. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Okay. So be fruitful, multiply, and subdue it. Rule. So he said he was going to create for the purposes of ruling. And I was going to say, I think the explanation of what you're supposed to do by subduing the earth comes after the statement, fill the earth and subdue it. Now let me tell you what that looks like. Rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and every creature that moves on the ground. So you are the one over them, the caretaker of, the steward of. Then God said, I now give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the entire earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be your food. And to all the animals of the earth, to every bird of the air, and to all the creatures that move on the ground, everything that has breath, living breath in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. Okay. I'll just finish this. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. Okay, this is the first time we have very good. Everything was good, but now we have like a recap of everything. There was evening and there was morning, a sixth day. The text again uses henen for the sake of vividness. It has a participle that goes with the gesture of pointing, calling attention to something. So, it was good would be another way to say it. It was good. Like, it was so good. Okay. But notice something. God is giving seed-bearing plants for food. And animals are seed-bearing plants for food. Here's one of those hard things to comprehend in my mind, and maybe it's not hard for you. But if seed-bearing plants were given for all the creatures that move on the ground, let's put humans aside for a minute. If seed-bearing plants were given for every creature, everything that has living breath, what were lions supposed to eat? Were lions supposed to eat straw and the grass? And maybe they're supposed to eat some, let's see, what fruit would be in some bananas. The lions are supposed to eat bananas. Is that what we're to understand? Is everything created a vegetarian? Then if it's so, does everything, though it doesn't tell us when the fall happens, get recreated, and some things get created into carnivores and other things not? Another question is that we don't have answers to. Is there going to be natural death now that everything has been created? Not harmful death like preying on other things, but the sense of something dies. Would we think then of things eating and maybe, like, oh, here's another problem. What are the insects going to eat? Because a lot of the insect world, what it does is clean up the dead. So when and how did the insects come? So there's a lot of things God's not explaining here. He's telling us who did it and the purposes of doing it. Not scientific here. So just pointing it out. Maybe the prey just hopped over to the lion and said, "Okay, Mr. Lion, I know you're hungry. Go ahead and eat me." But it says every plant was given to them. So were lions eating the grass instead of letting the antelope eat it and then eating the antelope? They're like, let's cut out the middleman. I need no antelope to eat. I'll eat the grass. It's good enough for the antelope. I'll eat it. Wade Mock, did mosquitoes bite? Ooh, interesting question. I'm going to go with they would have to, but maybe they didn't sting. Maybe it wasn't painful. I don't know. Maybe God wanted to keep the carnivores regular. And what I'm getting at is maybe they were omnivores to begin with. They weren't exclusively carnivores. Maybe they were omnivores. I mean, and even the things we don't think of as carnivore or omnivore, all of the insect world, which, helps with the biodegrading of decomposition of things. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to do that. Let me see if I can quick finish, and we're in chapter 2, but creation before we go to ad break. The heavens and the earth were completed with everything that was in them. The seventh day, God finished the work that he had been doing, and he ceased on the seventh day from all the work he had been doing. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. Okay, the seventh day is the only day that receives blessing, and it is holy, which means set apart, because on it he ceased from all his work he had been doing in creation. Ads. Okay, didn't quite make it then. Good question, fun to think about. Yeah, okay, let's get the fishies. All right. Okay. I don't know if I fully got all the way through, but I was just noticing something I wanted to show you. This is one of the things I got for Christmas. So, I didn't put him in the tank because he's just gonna get barnacles all over him. get algae growing on him. So he's just sitting in the shelf back here, but you probably can't see him. So I thought I'm just going to show you. Okay. Did we make it all the way through the end of God bless the seventh day and made it holy, and he ceased from all the work he'd been doing and creating, or did we not make it through the end of that before the ads? There is a theory that there was another civilization outside the Garden of Eden running parallel to it, and that's where Cain got his wife. Was there sin in the world at this time before the fruit was eaten, or was the entire world without sin up to this point? Is there anything that speaks to any of that? Okay. Johnny, here's where that idea comes from. Is that right here where we left off is the creation of the world. Okay? We do not yet have the creation of the Garden of Eden. So we have what we just read, the 7 days of creation has taken place. And so that is where all of the people come from, is that creation that was just described there, because it says, let us make man in our image, in the likeness of, and kind, and fill the earth and subdue it. So you can either have a time gap of some significance between verse 3 and verse 4 of Genesis, or you can see that Genesis 2 essentially is a retelling of Genesis 1 from a different point of view. So 1 is telling us the day structure of creation, the order structure of creation in an orderly fashion that is taking place. You can see Genesis 2 as a retelling of Genesis 1. If instead you see Genesis 2 as a different creation from Genesis 1 creation, that it's a second creation, if you will, with some time gap or no time gap, then that is where you get the idea of there being people outside the garden. Hope that makes sense. You also have Jewish myth. I don't know where this comes from. There could be the Midrash. It could be the Talmud. I don't know the origins of where it's written down. But Lilith is said to be Adam's first wife. So Adam had a wife before Eve. And Lilith, so this is where we get the lullaby from, because Lilith is going to come and take your children. So Lilith abai, Lilith away. You are protecting your children by singing a lullaby so that Lilith will not come and take your children. Yeah, none of that's in Scripture. Okay, so I don't know if I fully covered that, Johnny, but let's read through, and I'll tell you, yes, good description of the difference, thoughts on the matter. Yeah, absolutely. Samarella, hey, welcome in, friend. Hope I didn't join late. Sorry about the last stream. Was not really feeling good in my head and was really scared. And for some reason, I wanted to go to church again. And I spent most of the time. Oh, that's great. That is a good, like, when you sense that you want to go to church and you were able to do that, that is a good thing. Samarella, good on you for feeling it and then doing it. And you couldn't spend time here even when you wanted to. That's fine. I enjoy having you here. I appreciate you being here. Whether you can stay or not, you're always welcome, Samarella. And if you need to be somewhere else to take care of yourself or to take care of something in life, that is always something you should do. You're doing a bit okay now. Hope you guys can forgive me for keep coming in and disappearing without saying anything. Samarella, no worries on that at all. And I know sometimes it is too hard to explain what's going on in life than to, to just say, I need to go. Like, yeah, I've been here. I didn't even know you were here. I don't think you'd said anything, my friend. And now all of a sudden, so you're not the only one that lurks and says nothing, or that sometimes you end up leaving without saying that you're leaving. It's all good. It's all good. I understand that. Life happens. Yes, lurk is love. And yes, I still need to get the emote for that. It's still on the to-do list, but the fruit got on faster, and that got done, so emote will take me a little more time to create. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do that, and I want it to be a moving emote, not just a, just a slap a sticker thing there. You were lurking and sleeping. You came to disappear without saying anything, so Samuel won't feel bad. Yes, you came. Yes. Samuel, so good, and I'm glad you had some good time at church and were able to spend some time there. I find sometimes, well, here's the pattern that Jesus uses. He goes away to the quiet place, as was his regular occasion. He goes to the quiet place, and he withdraws to the quiet place. So when you find that place that you can be alone with God and feel the presence of God, if it's in a church building, then go do that. If it's in a stream, if it's by a stream, I like to feel the presence of God when I sit by water. So, Sam, I got introduced to another Christian streamer here, and, well, really enjoyed being there too. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, there's plenty of good Christian streamers out there. By the way, I have a channel in Discord. If you're looking for more, you can go and find other Christian streamers. Oh, there's the bot telling you about DC4C, which is right there. Digital Creators for Christ. You can check out more. Most of the DC4C crew stream later in the day. I'm early, and a lot of them are West Coast, so they'll go streaming into the night for me. Okay. So we were talking about creation. We went through the 7 days of creation. Here's where you have a really bad chapter break, because this should be in chapter 1. Okay. Now we have, you forgot her name, though, but I'm trying the best to remember it. Well, I'm glad you're finding places to be able to hang out and find good community. Sorry, I've got a straggler hair. I don't know if you ever have that. There we go. I could see it there hanging down, and I'm like, oh, it was Assassinator Steph? Oh, yes. Go spend time with Assassinator Steph. She is wonderful. She is wonderful. I don't know if that's if there's a space in there or not, but we'll just shout out if it works or not. It did work. Okay. I couldn't remember if she had a space in there or underscore. Apparently not. So, yeah, she's usually streaming at times that I'm not on, but when I get to catch her, it's such a sweetheart. Okay. Now, this is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, when the Lord God made the heavens and the earth. The phrase, Ella Toldat, is traditionally translated as these are the generations of, because the noun was derived from the word beget. Its usage, however, shows that it introduces more than genealogies. It begins a narrative that traces what became the entity or individually mentioned in its heading. In fact, a good paraphrase of the word, this is what became of the heavens and the earth. For what follows is another account of creation, but a tracing of events from creation through the fall and judgment. The Toldat of the book of Genesis, the redemptive historical significance. So here's the book you were asking about, where's the commentary? This is a note from the commentary that it's talking about the specific word. The expression that it is an account of is an important title used throughout the book of Genesis, serving as the original principle of the work. It is always a heading introducing the subject matter that is coming. From the starting point of the title, the narrative traces the genealogy or the records of particular individuals. Although some would make the heading to for a summary of creation, that goes against the usage in the book, as a heading is introducing the theme of the next section. The particulars about the creation that God made. Genesis 2 is not a simple parallel account of creation. Rather, beginning with the account of creation of man and woman, the narrative tells what became of the creation. At the beginning, the construct. Okay, I'm not going to go further with that. It's going to go more into that. So, anyway, every time you have, like, this is an account of the line of Adam, then you have a genealogy. This is the account of the life of Abraham. You have a genealogy. So, throughout the book of Genesis, you have this. This is the account of. This is the story of, would be another way to say it. Yes, Amarella, she is really wonderful. She didn't even mind me being there and venting and was really supportive, just like you and ukulele. Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. I really have to say this to you guys again, even when you don't accept it, I owe you so much. I do accept it. I do accept it, Samarella. Yeah, we're glad we're blessing and being a blessing in these places. Yes. Yeah, all glory to God. You don't owe us anything. All the gratitude goes to the mighty King. Yeah, exactly. And God uses us. And so I acknowledge that. But the other thing, Samarella, I don't know if you know this about me, but others here will know this about me. 4 years ago, at this time, I was unemployed. Uncle Teddy with the biddies. Thank you, Uncle Teddy. A cool even 5,800, my friend. Oh, thank you, friend. 4 years ago, I'm gonna go here. 4 years ago, I had resigned from the church I was working at. There was attacks and things against my family and other things going on, and I was sitting on the couch, could barely get myself out of bed in the morning, really dealing with some PTSD, sitting there on the couch, and the only thing I could think of to do, because I couldn't, like, turning on TV to watch something was not entertaining. I thought about playing video games, and I couldn't even bring myself to do that, which I would enjoy. So I knew my friend across town, Pastor Brock VR, streamed on Twitch. And something just said, go check him out. So that's why I started watching Twitch. And I started hanging out with him and with ukulele. And so that's where and how I got introduced to the same kind of thing that you feel and experienced. And I want to give that back to anyone else that shows up. I was in a really, really dark place and not knowing how to get out of that. And hanging out with a bunch of people who just didn't care about anything that had happened to me. I showed up and they just welcomed and loved me. And so that was really powerful for me. So that's part of it. And so I totally know what you're talking about. Of ukulele did that for me. Pastor Brock did that for me. Other people did that for me, and I want to do that for you. Sam, I'm sorry to go through that. I don't know why you have been attacked for any reason. It's not fair. I'm just going to tilt this a little bit. There are often reasons why those things happen, and I don't know why always that they do, but God has used it despite, I love the phrase that we'll get to in a couple of months probably, because we'll take Genesis a few months to get through. You meant it for evil. God meant it for good. So no matter what people do and whatever their motives are about something, God is able to redeem it and bring restoration and bring healing. It's also why I have no desire to ever leave Twitch. If Twitch ever shuts down, I don't know what I will do or where I will go, but Twitch is a part of, like, I haven't gone a month since then without being on Twitch. I've gone weeks without being on Twitch, that kind of a thing. Yeah, you intended it to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. I won't go so far as to say that's what I'm doing, but I do think that God is doing that. Yeah, humans gonna human. I love that. I'm watching. That's exactly it. Uncle Teddy, we had an amazing speaker to our church over the weekend. Mark Verkler teaches how to hear the voice of God. Ooh, that sounds good. That sounds good. Sam, one thing I love about being in this place is that I don't feel alone and always have this feeling of I always have someone by my side to support me. I'm glad that that's what you feel, because that is what I want this place to feel like, is you're not alone and someone is always by your side supporting you. Twitch is connected to Amazon. The money makers will keep it going. Yeah, hopefully that is how Amazon will view it. Actually, if you know, Amazon doesn't make their money from selling products. Amazon makes their money from people, the servers that they own, hosting stuff on the web is where they make a bunch of their money, and then they make money by other people selling their stuff, affiliates selling their stuff on Amazon. But yeah, that being the case, hopefully they don't get to the point of saying, we need to make money on this. How do we make money on it? They keep trying to figure it out, but even if they don't make money, I love the place. I love hanging out here. Okay. My phone is beeping and vibrating. I thought I would check that a minute. Nothing important. Okay. So we have, this is the account. So it's introducing the account of. So this could be a retelling of, or it's the orderly progression now that the heavens and earth are created. Because it says, when they were created, when the Lord made the heavens and the earth, and there is the ongoing. So on the day, in contrast to the numbered days. Day appears here in a phrase which means at the time when. It may, but does not need to refer to a particular day. It can refer to a broader time period, but typically a short period of time pertaining to a particular event. Here it summarizes the 7 days of creation as when. Okay. It could be at the time when. I like that idea. Samarilla, same. I was in a dark place where I felt the need to leave to Christian communities for reasons, and North Hill and Ukulele and Flat Cap came along to help me pick up your broken pieces. God knows who to send to you to encourage you, even when you don't see it coming. Glad you found them. The other thing is a lot of the way I found a lot of other people was by people rating other people, and the interconnectedness of finding a place that was safe and then sharing the place that's safe with someone else. Just like Ukulele came in with the raid today. That's how I learned and found a bunch of other people. And then, yeah. Which, if we were on a different platform that doesn't have rating, how do you go and find and recommend and seek that out and trust the algorithm and, Sorry, realizing I got some junk in my eye and just deciding to clear it out. Okay. We do now have Christian Tag that you can search, and there's a number of us that use pastor in our title. Not everyone does, and not everyone uses Christian Tag. It depends on who you're trying to reach. Me, I feel called to support Christians who are struggling, those who struggle in their faith, and other Christian creators to give them encouragement, and then additionally to be a safe place for those who want to learn about Christian faith without having it shoved down their throat and them told that you're going to the fiery depths of hell if you don't. Now, it's not that I don't believe or don't understand that, but I don't think that's how you learn. Yeah. Hadavar, yeah, exactly. I make no requirements of someone to be here other than show a kindness. That's it. That's it. Show kindness and graciousness to everyone who's here, and show love and mercy to everyone. And glad to have you here, Hadavar. I appreciate you, friend. The lurkers, I so need to get this. I'm on vacation next week. When I get back, that'll move up the top to the priority list, maybe. Okay. Now, no shrub of the field yet grew on the earth, and no plant of the field had yet sprouted. Okay, so this is not necessarily saying there's no plants. It's saying of the field, maybe cultivation is in order here. Let's see what the footnote says. Is it in the first term probably refers to the wild, uncultivated plants. The second refers to the cultivated grains. It is a way of saying back before anything was growing. Okay. Back before anything was really spreading, and the earth was being subdued, the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to cultivate the ground. So the plants aren't spreading because there's no rain and there's no people on the ground. Yeah, I'm watching Samuel. Yeah, in my case, I'm a wholesome hang-up spot, yes, where I try to show God's love in particular ways and give folks reasons to smile and laugh and meet new people. God uses us all in a myriad of ways. Absolutely. He certainly does. We all have our different giftedness. Springs would well up from the earth and water the whole surface of the ground. The Lord God formed the man from the soil of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Thank you for the gift sub, Johnny. Appreciate you so much, friend. Appreciate you so much. So, okay, you may not know this. Right here, if you think about idols, and how an idol is created is you would fashion and form, and I'm not assuming this is an idol, it's just a figurine, but to give you an example, this would be formed, and then in order to make the idol an inhabited thing by the god that you want to, which we just think of spirits, the spiritual realm. They're not gods, but the people thought they were. In order to have it be indwelled, there's a whole ceremony of which you do some things with the eyes and you open the mouth, and then you would breathe into this thing in order to make it a viable dwelling place for that spirit, which people think is a god, to come and indwell it. Okay, so it's a copy of what God does. It's a copy of what God does in creating human beings. He forms and fashions it. He opens and he breathes livingness into there. And so if you want to go back and ask about what is it to be created in the image of God, here is how I see it. It is because we have God's very breath in us from being created and having the breath of life in us. So there's no attribute that I need to have in order to be the indwelling place of the creator of the universe. I don't have to have intellect to do it. So my lack of intellect doesn't mean I lack God's ability in me. Any malformation that I might have, birth defect, or anything of the sort does not have to be necessary for God's indwelling. Breath of life is soul right. Yeah, Hadavar, that is a way to understand it. So the word for breath could also be interpreted as spirit or wind. The same word means all of those. So we could actually say the spirit, he breathed into his nostrils the spirit of life, and man became a living being. So let's look at the footnotes here. What does it say here? Human life is described here in consistent with the body made from the soil of the ground, and the breath of life was given. Both animals and humans are called a living being, but humankind became that different in a significant way. The breath of life appears for certain only here. The phrase breath, spirit of life, yes, thank you, they did. They pointed it out, where can mean breath, wind, spirit. The phrase breath of the breath, spirit of life. Maybe breath may be used of animals, but only God and not, may not be used of animals, but only God and man. So breath is not, or spirit is not in animals, just in humans. So that being the differentiation between it and that, yes, we would assume that to be our soul. Wade, dropping Isaiah. But now, O Lord, you are our Father. We are the clay. You are the potter, and all of us are the works of your hands. Yeah, there's another image of that creation image. And so here's why we're not to make images of God, because you and I are already the image of God. We do not need an image of God to create, to worship God. We just worship God directly because we are indwelled by God and we are created in the image of God. Mountain, welcome in, friend. What's up, guys? Hope you're doing better than I am. I hope you are doing better, and I hope that you are doing well and being able to care for yourself and get whatever rest you need. I know that I saw over the weekend there were supposed to be bad winds in the forecast. How are they looking for this week, Mountain? Are they going to die down finally or not? Okay, so we also have the way that things are happening. No rain, spring's well up, and man has been created. You managed to burn yourself, which is pretty funny with your job. Yeah. Well, I hope it's not a severe burn. The Lord God planted an orchard in the east in Eden. Okay, so traditionally garden, but the subsequent description of the garden makes it clear that is an orchard of fruit trees. It depends on the weather patterns. You don't pay attention to those. You pay attention to what's in front of you. Okay. So they're explaining why they chose orchard, because it's going to talk about trees. Dun, 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 dun. One would assume that it is east from the perspective of the land of Israel, particularly since the rivers in the area are identified as the rivers of those in the region. From the east or off east means Eden means pleasant in Hebrew. You burnt your index finger. The gloves are fire resistant, not fireproof. Oh, yeah. I would imagine there's not very much that can be fireproof because you can get temperatures that can exceed its fire-resistant capacity. I remember back when I was, in school and had shop class. The instructor still used asbestos gloves because they were more fire resistant when doing molten metals than more current ones. And I don't think you could do that today. Yeah, well over 400 degrees. Oh, I was thinking even in excess of that. I was thinking you were probably approaching 700 or 800. But I don't know. I don't know what they get to. I mean, because my oven can get to 400 with no effort, But But fuel would be the necessity factor of there. Yeah, it depends on what's burning. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, fuel. All right. So he formed an orchard, and then he placed the man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees to grow from the soil, every tree that was planted to look at and good for food. So, pleasing to the eye, good for food. Okay, so this is the description of plants, or the trees, I should say. Pleasing to the eye, good for food. When we get to a couple of other trees later, the same two things are going to be said about them. This tree is no different than the other trees with one exception. So they're pleasing to the eye, good for food. Now the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil were in the middle of the orchard. The expression tree of knowledge of good and evil must be interpreted to mean that the tree would produce fruit, which, when eaten, gives specific knowledge of good and evil. Scholars debate what the phrase means. Okay. I'm not going to read all of that. One of the problems with the idea of knowledge of good and evil is, how can you be culpable for doing something that is evil without knowledge that what it is is evil to do in the first place? But all you need to do is have a toddler to understand that. And then some will say, oh, original sin or, inherited sin, those things. Okay, fair enough. But just pointing that out. Any reason why it's called the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Oh, well, it's talking about trees. And trees are a thing that produce fruit. And trees also are a motif, an item that is used all the way throughout Scripture. There's a podcast actually called the Two Trees Podcast that often, and another way to say it instead of tree of life, of knowledge of good and evil, I think it has that title because that's the result of what the tree was. Okay? But you can also see this as the tree of life and the tree of death. You can also see that. And as we run through Scripture, we will see that two trees will show up. And it doesn't always have to be tree from a literal tree, but something made of wood can also be a tree. So, for instance, when you have Hagar, who is sent away, and Ishmael is put under a tree, under a bush, it is a tree that is going to bring about death. He is going to die, but instead an angel comes up, and there is water that's provided, and he has life. In the same way, Isaac has a tree on his back. He is bringing the wood for the altar when Isaac is going up. And then in the thicket, there is a ram, and that tree is the tree of life because the ram is there, and he held the tree of death, which was on him. So we have this motif. Trees also take on other things in Scripture where trees are talked about as rulers having authority over things. So there is, and this is like all hypothetical speculation, the idea that the tree was, and we haven't gotten to it yet, we're about to get there, that was not permitted to be eaten from until such time as God was going to give permission to be able to read or give permission to be able to eat. So it was a temporary prohibition, potentially. We don't know that with any certainty, okay? A temporary prohibition that could later be. But knowledge is also not just intellectual, it's experiential. And so now the tree of life and the tree of experiencing good and evil is how I like to think of it. So we'll read more and see how that unfolds itself here. Now, a river flows from Eden to water the orchard, and there it divides into 4 head streams. I'm not going to get into the river stuff. It just doesn't fascinate me in any capacity of where it is, how it has formed, all this stuff. There's a lot of people that speculate on it. Frankly, it's not of interest to me. But if you want to comment on it, I'll certainly dive into it. The name of the first is Pishon. The river runs through the entire land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of the land is pure. Pearls and lapis lazuli are also there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It runs through the entire land of Cush. The name of the third river is Tigris. It runs along the east side of Assyria. The fourth river is the Euphrates. The Lord took the man and he placed him in the orchard in Eden to care for it and maintain it. So here we have the stewardship idea. So when we had to look at the whole earth in Genesis 1, it was to subdue the whole earth because order has not been brought to the whole earth. Here, the orchard is created with order and it needs to be maintained. Mountain, the hottest blaze you've heard of created by burning diacetyl acetylene. Not sure, I got that wrong. In ozone, which can reach a temperature of 10,000 degrees. Woo! When lithium burns, it can burn up to 5,000 degrees. Oh, so some car fires out there. Hadavar. Some out of this only Tigris and Euphrates exist today. So I assume the Garden of Eden was somewhere in the Middle East or Africa. Here's part of the question I have. If you believe that Noah's flood is regional flood or global flood, doesn't matter. I'm going to make the assumption, because there's no mention of the Garden of Eden later, that it's destroyed by the flood of Noah. Okay, whether you want to go regional or global flood, we'll have that debate when we get to, or discussion, I should say, when we get to Genesis 6. We're not there. So, thinking of the garden, why do I make the assumption that the thing that someone later labeled as Tigris and Euphrates are actually the OG Tigris and Euphrates? New York is named after York in England. It's not the OG York. Oh, yeah, they put the name New in front of it. Okay, so that gives us a clue. But if I am a person wanting to claim authority, and I'm Babylon wanting to claim that I am the place of the residence of the gods, and there's a story of some rivers, and we've got two rivers here, I'm going to name them those rivers so that you can say, look, I've got all the authority here. So, yeah, I know it's describing those rivers, and it's making reference to those. So they could be. I'm not denying it, but I don't want to make the assumption it has to be. So anyway, that's why I don't dig into it, but yes, it describes being in Africa. It describes being east of Eden. Another hypothesis, just as a speculation of how could you have this and then it not exist. How about the Mediterranean Sea? Maybe at some point the Mediterranean Sea was dry. I believe that's a thing that people have found to be the case. And so maybe that's where Eden was. Who knows? Johnny, I always thought that Noah's flood changed the landscape of the entire planet. Yeah. Mountain, it's very hard to put lithium fires out. They can reignite at any time. Yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Better you than me. Hadavar. That is true. These places could have been different back then. Yeah, and a lot of people are like trying to look for them and say, well, we've got two of them named, so where are the other two? I don't assume we've got the two right names, you know. Pangea was a thing, yeah. Balaam, hey, welcome in, friend. Is the Egypt in the Bible the same Egypt today? Like Egypt today, literal ancestor of Egypt in the Bible, descendant, you mean not ancestor? Yes. Yes, in regards to Egypt, Egypt is still where it was today. Cush would be another name possibly for Ethiopia, but there's also the thought that Cush could be on the Saudi Arabia Peninsula, not just Ethiopia. It could be where Oman or Yemen is. That could be where Cush is. So Egypt is Egypt. Assyria is where Syria is. Yeah, so Egypt, that old, yes. Okay, so the orchard is created. The man is placed in it to care for it. Then the Lord God commanded the man, you may freely eat fruit from every tree of the orchard, but you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will surely die. This is why I want to call it the tree of death. Eating from the tree brings death. Okay, this is just the title of the tree. This is just the title of the tree. Okay, what the fruit produces is death. So I prefer calling it the tree of life and the tree of death. Do you want to choose life or do you want to choose death? It also, the phrase is dying, you will die. The imperfect verb form here has a nuance of specific future because it is introduced with a temporal clause, when you eat, you will die. That certainly is underscored with the infinitive clause, you will surely die. Dying, you will die does not refer to two aspects of death. Dying spiritually, you will then die physically. So it's not saying that. The construct simply emphasizes the certainty of death. However, it is defined. Death is essential separation. To die physically means to separate from the land of the living, but not extinction. To die spiritually means to be separated from God. Both occur with sin, although the physical alienation is more gradual than instant. The spiritual is immediate, although the effect of it continue the separation. Ooh, that's a good discussion there. Okay. Like regional floods change the landscape, so it makes sense a global flood would. Yeah. You hear Cush and your mind goes somewhere else. Whoops. Assyria too, Kings. Yeah. So Assyria would be close to or around the region that today is called Syria. So it's a predecessor of, there's a lot of exchange of other things in other nations before it becomes Syria. But yeah, same region geographically. Yeah, but Syria back then could have been different, not just Syria, could have included other. Yeah, exactly. The scope of it, the place, geographic boundaries, all those things change over time. There's conquest of that land, but people's heritage could be and remained in that place since biblical times, potentially. Yeah, managed to have slowly healing blisters from hot water burn to stomach. Probably pales in comparison. Oh, hot water burns are not fun. Okay. Continuing. So we've got the tree of knowledge of good and evil. We have the tree of life. We have the orchard, the garden, which is created. The Lord God said, it is not good for man to be alone. I will make a companion for him who corresponds to him. This is one of the best translations, I think, out there. The Ezer Kenegdo. Ezer would be the first word here. And Ezer, traditionally translated as helper, is not a good translation in modern English. It may have been a good translation when it was originally. So an indispensable companion, a completer, one that will, yeah. There's another aspect of it. What am I trying to think of? Yes, equal to. That's the part I was looking for. It is an equal to him, not a subordinate to him. And corresponding to, according to the opposite of him. So it's the opposite thing that finishes and completes something. So it's corresponding to. So in that way, my mug has a lid that corresponds to the mug. This isn't a really good analogy, but I'm giving you something here. It has a corresponding piece to complete this. If I want the mug to function as it's designed to, with maintaining a liquid in here at a given temperature for a long period of time, it needs the corresponding lid to complete the mug so that it maintains hot or cold of the beverage as it's intended to. Without the lid, it can't function as designed. Okay. That's a great idea. Now, the lid is not subordinate to the mug. It does a different job that corresponds to and completes the task of the mug, and it's empty. I know it pales really with the human aspect, but the idea of the corresponding to, of being different than, I think that part, hopefully, is maintained by it. Yeah. It's borderline between first and second degree. Okay. Oof. Yeah. Well, third degree is the most serious, but second degree usually hurts more than third degree because third degree will burn nerves. Balaam, Israel should have not really asked for a king like God wanted. He should be. Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, second B can be treated without skin grafts, and all the first degree is a slight burn, basically no damage, but needs some basic care, and still see a doctor. Yeah. Okay, so the Lord formed out of the ground every living creature of the field and every bird of the air. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. And whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. So God creates man to subdue the earth. And now he's doing the very thing. He has created to be a steward over the earth. He's doing the very name. Having a name and naming something is also a way of having dominion over. So he is doing that. Yes, Adam named all the animals. That's what we're learning here. So the man named all the animals, the birds of the air, the living creatures of the field. But for Adam, okay, this is where, here is the first time the Hebrew word Adam appears without the article, suggesting that it might now be the name Adam rather than the man. Translators of the Bible differ as to whether they make the change from man to Adam. NASB and NIV translate Adam here, while the NEB and the NRSV continue to use the man. The KJV uses Adam twice in verse 19. Okay. But who called us humans? It's not entirely clear, but except for the fact that when God is going to create, he says, let us make humans in our image. So there, I guess, and by saying what God was going to create, he named it. That would be my understanding. Prophets killed and kings made Israel to sin many times, said in the Bible, and look at where Israel has gotten because of king power and some sort. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Israel divided, yes. Elbow Bob, welcome in. Good morning, friends. We're slugging slowly through Genesis because we're having great discussions. I'm watching. I lost some replaceable outer skin levels due to the blisters refilling and healing the first week or so. Then the soft skin ripped. When I moved in certain situations, now I think it can heal as a scar if you keep it dry. Yeah. Yeah, not to mention political nightmares today. Yeah, I'm not a fan of talking politics. If we're talking politics, I don't want to do it with chat where it can be misunderstood. Okay? So if we were in a Zoom call, if we were in a Discord, video chat, voice chat, I might talk politics, but I'm not talking it on stream. So, Balaam, all because they asked for a king when they should have listened to God. Yes. Okay, so no companion corresponding to him was found. The subject of the third masculine singular verb form in the infinitive without a formal expression subject. The verb may be translated as one did not find equal, there was not found. Okay. So no companion corresponding to him. Okay, here is we were asking about looking at Johnny Darko, the idea of there being a creation that takes place in Genesis 1, and then a separate creation that happens in Genesis 2. Here's my problem. If there are humans outside of the garden, as that idea suggests, how is there no human being that corresponds to Adam that can be found on the planet if there are other humans on the planet? I mean, the women just weren't good enough? Yeah, exactly. This is the part that I struggle with to make sense of the idea that it happens. Now, one explanation, and this is not something that I'm convinced of, is that the humans that are on the planet, perhaps, that are created in Genesis 1 are Neanderthals. And so they are a species to their own kind. And here, when God's creating Adam, it is a different kind of human. It is a Homo sapien. And Homo sapiens are different than the Neanderthals. And so there are no other Homo sapiens. There are only Neanderthals, and Neanderthals are not corresponding to Adam. I don't find that convincing. He'll look like the Jackie Chan confused meme. Sorry I was late today, kids. Had 2-hour snow delay today. Oh, everything around here is just straight up closed. There is no schools open. The temperature this morning was 3 degrees, and the wind chill is well below that. So that's the whole thing here that I struggle with, the possibility of. Yeah, they just did delay here. Yeah, and it's a matter of if you're dealing with snow or cold. There is not warm enough temperatures for kids to go outside and play. There's other problems that are going on. Yeah. Wind chill of -8. I believe our wind chills are going to be in the -20s. Yeah, it depends on where you are. I've got to go out and blow snow. I had to do that earlier. All right. But let's see if we can finish Genesis 2 today. So, anyway, if you have more questions on the whole idea of two creations versus one, there are the thoughts. Here's my problem that I can't solve of how this comes. The only the only suggested thing that addresses it is the Neanderthal versus Homo sapien thing. I don't find that satisfactory. Okay. So the Lord caused the man to fall into a deep sleep. And while he was asleep, he took part of the man's side. I know this is traditionally translated as rib. It means side. Okay? He took one of the man's side. Okay, so here's another one of those things that if you haven't heard, it's like the nature versus nurture debate. Yeah, exactly. Here's one of those things that maybe you've not heard before. There is a thought that Adam, when he is created, is androgynous. This might be a shock to you. And then when God puts him into a sleep, he splits him in half. And he takes the feminine part of Adam off of one side and the masculine part off the other side, and therefore creates Adam and male and female out of the one. Because when it said he created them, male and female, he created him, it could mean a singular creature with both, and then God separating. Okay, it's an interesting theory. I like to play with the idea. I'm not fully accepting it, but it also is he took the side, not just a tiny little rib. Okay, it's the side of Adam. A side of you is a part of you, is a piece of you, not a little thing that's insignificant. A little rib is insignificant. It's bigger than that. It's the side. And he closed up the place with flesh to make, to build, to construct. Again, the passive is what's used in there. Then God made a woman from the part he had taken out of the man. And he brought her to the man. Then the man said, okay, so here's the reason why I don't find it satisfactory fully on the whole male and female was in one. He took and he made a woman from the part. So God still has to fashion woman from the part. It's not already woman that he takes out. So, yeah, to be fair, a rib is actually a small thing. Yeah, and it sounds like it's a larger deal here than to do it. I think God did that also symbolizes male and yes, Hardavar, I agree with you. There is a symbolism in the oneness. Yep. And here Adam's reply is the man said. Notice it says the man here, which means it's going to have, whenever you, in this translation, the man is going to have the Hebrew article for the, just like English would. Okay. This one at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one shall be called woman, for she is taken out of man. That is why. Now, this is just an interjection here. This is like a, now looking back on it, reflecting on it, this is why we have what we do today. This is why a man leaves his father and mother and unites with his wife, and they become one family. Ooh, that's interesting. It literally says one flesh here. Yeah, they become one flesh, but they're rendering it one family. Yeah, they're taking the metaphorical and making it into a literal. Okay. The man and his wife were both naked, but they were not ashamed. So this is telling us more information about the status of creation. Shame is not a part of the world yet. Shame is not a part of the world. The imperfect form here has the customary nuance indicating a continual condition in past time. The meaning of the Hebrew bash, to be ashamed, to put to shame, but his meaning is stronger here, to be embarrassed. The word conveys the fear and exploitation of evil enemies, or to be put to shame through military victory. So, or exploitation, I would say as well. Mountain, the Bible is a very important book, but it can get confusing at times. Yeah, it is. And also, oh, we got an ad coming in. Sorry, this is going to happen, and we'll come back. But the Hebrew at times has nuance and meaning that can go in different directions, and I think at times it's intentionally vague. It's not intentionally precise. And so that causes us to wrestle with the text. I think we're supposed to wrestle with the text, not read it one time and go away. We're supposed to read it and come back again and again to wrestle with the text. All right, we got the fish coming in because we got the ad break, and then we'll be rating out. Johnny, I'll answer that question. Great question when we come back. That's a great question. Yeah, Hadavar. Yeah, exactly. Ish and Isha. Yes. All right, it says you're back. It says you're back. Yeah, so great question. Love the question. So, yes, it's Ish.
Strong's 376. Ish. Ish.
So it would be Aleph, Yod, and Sheen. Aleph, Yod, Sheen. So it's man. It can also be human being. It has other uses. You made honey peanut butter cookies on Saturday. Have one. Ooh, very nice. And Isha.
Strong's H802. Isha.
Okay.
Isha.
So the Yod is not in here in the three letters. Words in Hebrew traditionally have three letters. The vowels are these breath marks. They're breath marks, not necessarily actually vowels. The Aleph here is a guttural preparatory thing that is not expressed when you go to speak. It just happens in the back of your mouth. That's why we get Aaron, Aran. And the sheen here has a dot in it, which means there are two. That's why you see the Isha. You have the two S's here, or the double SH. And then you have the H at the end. So the ending is changed. The Yod disappears from Ish to Isha. So it does have that play, but here's another thing. And this lexicon doesn't go into this depth of it. But in a literal translation of what the word Ish and Isha means and can mean is penetrator and penetrated one, which is fascinating. I when I was studying years ago, that was one of the lexicons had that as a possible translation, is the penetrator and the penetrated one, which with the play on becoming one flesh is then brought out in vivid nature, but nobody's going to translate it that way because we like our Bible without the physical nature of things in it. So, and then there's also the reference to, so we have the foreshadowing here of nakedness and unashamed. So, all right. Any further questions, thoughts there? Yeah, that's really cool that the same description carried over to English. Yeah, it's interesting how in certain, actually, like in a lot of languages, you have masculine with one ending and feminine with another ending. So the on the ending just makes it like woman. We have a prefix that makes it different. So, but you can still hear, and one is contained within the other. I don't know if all languages do that. I don't, be honest about it all. I've stopped. Yeah, I stopped tittering eventually. Yeah. It just, like I said, okay. So notice this is a name of the kind, so to speak, a name of the division here. So you have woman and man, one coming from the other. And so you have that connection, and bone of bone and flesh of flesh. Okay? So flesh is the outside, bone is the inside. Blood's not mentioned there. And at last, with the idea of the corresponding person that could complete is now finally here. Animals were not sufficient. Animals did not correspond to. Animals were not equal with man. Woman is equal with, corresponding to, and an equal reflection of, in every way, corresponding with, and completing. That's the fullness of the idea here. So, all of our other ideas that we imply are in Scripture, I'm sorry, they're all after the fall, of non-equality are after the fall. They are the result of the fall. They are not the creation, the design of creation. The design of creation is a completer, corresponding to and equal with man. Not subordinate to, equal with, and corresponding to. That's how I read Genesis 2 here. So, okay, we're not going to get into the fall, the temptation. Wow, we are taking our time in Genesis. But we did make it through 2. How many verses are into 25. All right. Well, thank you all for coming in today. Let's find someone to go bless and raid out. Thank you, lurkers. I love you, lurkers. Thanks for hanging out, being in the background. This is so much easier to read on my monitor rather than your phone. Yeah, it always is that way. Is it because of the darkness or is it the size? I increased the size of it, so hopefully that has gotten better. And I'm doing it in the negative so that I get less reflection off my glasses. Da, 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 da. You're welcome, Johnny. Appreciate you, friend. If I knew I would be back today to be able to do co-working, I'd be inclined to raid over to my fish pond and do co-working, but I don't. I've got a meeting, and then I got to blow snow, and then I don't know what else is on the docket. I probably could do some co-working later, but let's go over to Laura. Let's go over to Laura. Just the size. Okay. Has your eye doctor suggested blue light glasses? I have blue light on these, which is actually what's causing it to have awful reflection. Okay. Oh, there we go. Start raid. Okay, let me give you the blessing. May God's seeking comfort find you. May his loving arms bind you. May his might protect you. May his wisdom direct you. May the joyous love of Jesus Christ be with you and all those you know, both now and forevermore. Amen. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone who's been hanging out, everyone for all the wonderful stuff, all the great conversation, for spending time with me, whether you're watching the VOD, whether you're here live, whether you're lurking. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. You are a blessing in my life, and I'm just so appreciative of that. Now let's go and bless. Let's go bless others. By the way, I forgot to talk about this. We're passing the cap, so we're helping out Mel's cousin, who had a fire destroy her house there in L.A. So if you're able to help, please
Flat cap
giving.
On his head, he's streaming live. Reading from the book, the word so alive.
Yeah, I gotta get my creds fixed. I don't know what's wrong with them. I haven't had time to fix it.
A prayer in his heart that lifts the soul. In the digital world where spirits roll. Hallelujah, from the screen we scream. Join the pastor in the holy dream. Spreading love with every verse he reads. Planting hope like precious seeds. He's a shepherd with a virtual flock.